Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. We've seen a whirlwind of activity recently, a real surge of interest, and some truly eye-popping swings in the market around a company called Wearable Devices. It's got a lot of you and us asking, what exactly is going on, and is this excitement, more than just hype? Today, we're tackling that big question. Is Wearable Devices a good time to buy now? Before we jump into dissecting all the details, if you find this conversation valuable, please remember to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave us a comment. And hey, if there's a specific company you'd like us to look into, just let us know in the comments below after we're done here. Our mission today as well, to pull back the curtain on wearable devices. We're sifting through all the available information, recent catalysts, financial health, technical performance, their future outlook. Think of this as your shortcut to understanding the complete picture, helping you make a truly informed decision. For many tech startups, it's a classic tale, isn't it? A promising innovator betting big on new tech. Is this a Cinderella story in the making, or maybe a cautionary tale waiting to unfold? Okay, let's unpack this. What's truly behind all this recent movement, and why has the market been so, reactive?
Well, the market's reaction to wearable devices has been intense, yeah. And it largely centers on a few recent developments. We're talking about the commercial debut of their Mudra Link wristband, combined with their latest financial results showing narrowed losses. These are kind of the ingredients that have fueled some pretty significant stock volatility lately.
Right.
Diving into those H1 2025 financial results, which came out in September of this year, the company announced they reduced their net loss to $3.7 million.
Okay.
That's an improvement from the $4.2 million loss in the previous period. Now, revenue did actually decline down to $294,000.
Oh, interesting. Decline.
Yeah, but that reduction in the net loss really grabbed headlines. These results are largely attributed to, well, the initial commercial launch of the Mudra Link wristband and the ongoing sales of their Mudra band for Apple Watch users.
Reduced losses, even with lower revenue.
Yeah.
That can be seen as a positive sign, I suppose, especially for a developing company. But here's where it gets really interesting. Following these results, shares rocketed more than 125% in after-hours trading. 125% jump in a single session. I mean, that's explosive. But for a company with still declining absolute revenue, does a jump like that signal genuine long-term confidence? Or is it more, speculative froth in the market?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
That kind of surge almost always suggests a heavy dose of speculation. Beyond those financial headlines, July, August, and September were packed with other activities that kept investors' attention.
Right.
We saw some ambitious international and sector expansion. This included new B2B partnerships like an Android launch, a distribution agreement in Japan with Media Exceed,
Okay.
and even the start of a military project focused on neural touchless systems. They were also busy enhancing their patent portfolio in neural interface technology during this period.
So pushing on multiple fronts then.
Yeah, exactly. And on the product front, they were ramping up volume shipments of Mudra Link, fulfilling pre-orders, and importantly, actively incorporating customer feedback into their commercial strategies. In the B2B and licensing realm, they had ongoing revenue recognition for Mudra Band sales, and were expanding licensing discussions, specifically eyeing multi-million-dollar B2B contracts in medical and extended reality applications.
Big potential targets there.
Definitely. And they didn't slow down on R&D, with continued investments in gesture recognition and AI algorithm improvements, securing new patents related to neural interface and gesture analytics. All of this was backed by ramped-up global marketing for both Mudra Link and Mudra Band, targeting both consumers and businesses.
Wow.
What's fascinating here isn't just the individual events, but the sheer intensity and concentrated effort. It suggests a strategic sprint across product development, partnerships, and intellectual property, all within a very short time frame. They're clearly trying to establish a foothold in what they hope will be a rapidly expanding touchless interface market.
So if you're tracking this company, it sounds like there's a lot of strategic activity and development on paper, a real flurry. But as investors, we know the real story often lies beneath the surface, right? What does all this translate to when we peel back the financial layers and look at the core health of wearable devices? Is the company building a sustainable foundation, or are these just, exciting announcements on a shaky platform?
That's exactly right. The excitement around recent news is definitely infectious, but it's crucial to look beyond the headlines. When we dive into their revenue and earnings, the company reported $522,000 in revenue for the full year 2024.
Okay, $500,000 roughly.
Right. That's an impressive percentage growth of 536% from $82,000 in 2023.
Wow. Okay.
However, The net loss for 2024 was negative $7.88 million, which actually widened slightly from negative $7.82 million in 2023.
Ouch. So losses grew even as revenue jumped percentage-wise.
Precisely. Currently, their trailing 12 months, or TTM, earnings per share stands at negative $8.20. It's absolutely crucial to highlight that the company has no reported profit or positive profit margin. Their losses are sizable, and in dollar terms, they are growing. We also have to note the absence of any consensus analyst earnings projections currently available for wearable devices. No one's really putting numbers out there.
Right.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just a small company. It's a company essentially spending roughly $15 for every dollar it earns.
$15 spent for every $1 earned. Wow.
Yeah. While that explosive percentage revenue growth is impressive, it's from a very, very small base, and it's accompanied by persistent and even growing losses. This suggests a significant cash burn rate as the company invests heavily for the future. A classic high-stakes bet on future tech, but with razor-thin margins for error and no clear path to profitability on the immediate horizon.
Spending $15 to earn $1, that's a tough road to profitability, like you said. So even with that exciting revenue growth in percentage terms, the widening losses are a definite red flag for stability. What does the bigger picture of their overall financial health and stability look like, especially for a company in this very early high-growth stage?
Financially, Wearable Devices has a market capitalization of just $5.41 million.
Tiny.
Yeah, tiny. This clearly classifies it as a microcap stock, which inherently means it carries a very high level of risk. They have 1.03 million outstanding shares. A significant challenge here is the lack of verifiable breakdowns for their debt or cash flow from public sources, which makes a comprehensive financial assessment much harder than it should be.
So visibility is limited.
Very limited.
Yeah.
We'll also know that no dividend is issued, which is, typical for a company at this stage. This raises an important question. What are the implications of being a microcap with persistent losses and limited public financial data? It signals a high risk of dilution, where new shares are issued to raise capital, reducing the value of existing shareholders' stakes.
Right, makes your shares worth less.
Exactly. It also brings concerns about it being a going concern, meaning whether the company has enough capital to continue operating in the foreseeable future. Essentially, it strongly suggests a likely and significant need for substantial future capital raising. Soon, probably.
That definitely sounds like they're walking a very fine tightrope, balancing burning cash with the need for future funding. So, in this dynamic tech space, how does Wearable Devices even begin to stack up against other players in its field, especially the industry giants?
Well, the company is carving out a niche developing non-invasive neural input interfaces for digital device control. This puts them squarely in the broader wearable technology and virtual reality, or AR/VR, control segment. Their addressable market is quite broad, including smartwatches, AR glasses, VR headsets, and even IoT device ecosystems. With products like their Mudra development kits and SNC sensor modules, all focused on touchless gesture controls.
So, the potential market is big.
The potential is huge, yes. However, they're facing entrenched competition from absolutely massive device makers and far more capitalized peers, such as Apple and Meta.
The big guns.
Exactly. While they are pioneering in their specific niche, a truly sustainable moat or competitive edge is simply not established at this point and remains highly speculative. They're innovative, sure, but how realistic is it for a microcap to build a truly unassailable position against that kind of competition with almost limitless resources? It's a tall order.
That's a critical point to consider. So the fundamentals show both a glimmer of growth potential and, frankly, substantial risk. Now let's turn our attention to the stock itself. If we look at the share price action, it's been quite the roller coaster lately, particularly this past week. What has that wild ride looked like for Wearable Devices, and what should we make of these swings?
The stock's performance has indeed been a true roller coaster. As of September 11, 2025, the recent price was $7.03. What truly jumps out is that extraordinary 24-hour change of plus 589%.
589%.
Yeah, almost unheard of. And it's almost certainly associated with a very recent news or intense speculative trading, just pure momentum, likely. To put that in context, the longer-term performance tells a very different story. A one-week change of negative 5.6%, a one-month change of negative 34.6%, and a one-year change of negative 72.4%.
Oof. So down massively over the year, despite that spike.
Correct. The 52-week range has been incredibly wide, from a low of $1 to a high of $27.
Yeah.
And for even broader context, the all-time high was a staggering $468 back in September 2022.
Wow, 468 down to 7. That's quite a fall from
It
grace.
really is. We've also identified potential support levels around $4.55 and resistance levels at $10-12.
That's a massive range and an absolutely incredible short-term surge against a longer-term decline. What do the technical indicators tell us about this kind of extreme movement, and how should someone interpret signals from such a volatile stock?
The technical indicators really just scream extreme volatility. We're looking at a volatility reading of 223.81% with a beta of 1.23.
And beta means?
Right, beta essentially tells you how much more volatile a stock is compared to the broader market. A beta of 1.23 means this stock typically moves about 23% more dramatically than the overall market, both up and down.
Okay, so definitely not for the faint of heart.
Not at all. While technical analysis signals a strong buy rating for today and buy on the 1 week and 1 month horizons, it is absolutely crucial to interpret this as a reflection of momentum, not fundamental value.
Right, just capturing that short-term burst.
Exactly. Overall, the trend is highly unstable, with a very recent speculative surge that's completely overshadowed by a much longer-term downtrend. It's a trader's playground, perhaps, not really an investor's steady ground.
So the charts are flashing momentum, but that comes with a big asterisk, a huge caveat. Beyond the charts and technicals, what's the general chatter and market sentiment surrounding wearable devices? Is there a clear consensus or just a lot of noise from various corners?
Regarding recent news and sentiment, well, we should recall the March 13, 2025 announcement where the company showcased its world's first neural sensing wristband, Mudralink, at MWC Barcelona. That got some press. However, there's a notable absence of current analyst coverage or price targets, and no major upgrades or downgrades have been published in the past quarter. That lack of institutional attention is often telling.
Yeah, the big firms aren't covering it.
It seems that way. As for insider activity, we found no recent Form 4 filings or verifiable reports of buying or selling by company executives or major shareholders.
Okay.
Social sentiment is definitely high, particularly on volatility-driven forums like StockTwits. There's a lot of speculative hype and discussion about trading the steep price action.
Sure, people chasing the moves.
Exactly. But it's vital to caution that retail sentiment can rapidly swing and is not a reliable long-term indicator for investment. It's often driven by fear of missing out, FOMO, and can deflate just as quickly as it inflates.
Okay, so we've looked at the past and the present, the financials and the market action. Now let's look ahead. What are we watching for next with wearable devices? And what could potentially move the needle even further, for better or worse, in the coming months?
In the next 3 months, there are several key catalysts on the horizon that could either validate or challenge the current narrative. October 15th, 2025 brings their Q3 preliminary earnings call.
Okay, first look at Q3.
Right. Then November 3rd, 2025, there's a major ETF quarterly rebalancing, which can see institutional money flow in or out, depending on index criteria. Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales reports will come on November 27, 2025, a real test of consumer interest. Followed by institutional holdings disclosure on December 5, 2025. We'll see if any funds took a position. And finally, their Q3 full earnings and guidance on December 20, 2025.
A busy few months then.
Definitely. Investors will be closely watching these events for further concrete evidence of a revenue acceleration from Mudralink and, crucially, any B2B contract wins. Plus, updates on operational efficiency and those net loss trends. Major sales holidays and ETF rebalancing will be important tests of consumer demand and broader market validation. A strong report or positive sales data could maybe cement their positioning a bit, but they could also amplify short-term volatility if results disappoint.
And what about those more speculative what-if scenarios that could really change the company's trajectory? Are there any significant rumors circulating that could inject more fuel into this already volatile situation?
Absolutely. Industry chatter often produces a lot of what-ifs for companies like this, especially in emerging tech. One persistent rumor suggests wearable devices could become a potential strategic acquisition target for a larger tech company looking to snap up their neural interface intellectual property.
The classic buyout scenario.
Exactly. Rumors also persist that they may launch a medical-grade version of their Mudra technology, aiming for regulatory approvals and healthcare partnerships, which would represent a massive expansion into health analytics.
That would be huge.
It would. There's also speculation of imminent, multi-million-dollar B2B agreements with defense or extended reality XR industry players leveraging their neural control technology. And finally, we've seen unconfirmed reports indicating possible teasers or leaks of a next-generation Mudra device with expanded gesture sets and biometric capabilities. Each of these, if true, could be a game changer, but they are, by definition, unconfirmed and speculative. Pure rumor at this stage.
This all sounds like a lot of potential upside, a future filled with exciting possibilities, big dreams. But it's equally crucial for you, our listener, to understand the downside. What are the significant, tangible risks here that investors absolutely need to be aware of before even thinking about this company?
The risks are, frankly, substantial. From a stock-specific perspective, the company faces severe operating losses and operates at an extremely small microcap scale. This cocktail leads to a very high risk of dilution, where issuing new shares to raise capital significantly reduces the value of existing shares.
Right, watering down your ownership.
Precisely. There's also a serious going concern risk, meaning whether the company has enough cash to continue operating without raising more capital very soon. It's a real question mark. There's also significant product and technology risk. There's simply no guarantee of successful commercialization or widespread adoption in highly competitive markets.
Yeah.
Innovation doesn't always translate to sales.
True. Cool tech doesn't always mean a good business.
Exactly. On the broader market and sector side, microcap tech stocks, like wearable devices, are exceptionally prone to extreme volatility, especially during broader tech sell-offs. They get hit hard. Regulatory risk is also a factor. Changes in FDA or health regulations for wearable technology or even privacy regulations could seriously impede commercialization. And of course, there's the ever-present and significant competitive threat from large, well-resourced tech firms who could easily replicate or outmarket similar interfaces, effectively squeezing out a smaller player.
Big fish, small pond situation.
Pretty much. This raises an important question. With such high potential and equally high risks, how much of this future opportunity is already accounted for in the current, highly volatile stock price? Are investors paying for the dream or the reality?
So after breaking down all this information, the numbers, the tech, the market, the risks, for you who asked, is wearable devices a good time to buy now? What's the bottom line? Where do we land?
Well, to give a direct answer, our overall rating for wearable devices is a 2 out of 10.
A 2! Ouch!
Yeah, it's low. While the company has demonstrated explosive, albeit from a very small base, revenue growth, its absolute revenue base remains insignificant at just over $500,000, and its losses are not shrinking. In fact, they grew last year. The financial risks, including its microcap profile, persistent and growing losses, and likely cash burn, they just seem to far outweigh any speculative upside at this point. The technical action is extremely volatile and appears largely disconnected from the company's underlying fundamentals, with recent price spikes potentially offering opportunities only for ultra-high-risk traders, maybe? There's no proven competitive moat in an industry dominated by established heavyweights. There's no analyst coverage, no dividend, no clear path to proven financial health, and limited verifiable operating data publicly available.
So a lot of unknowns and red flags.
A lot. Therefore, it is not recommended for long-term investment under present conditions. It's only suited, if at all, for highly risk-tolerant traders looking to exploit short-term volatility, and even then, with extreme caution and very tight risk controls. This is not buy and hold territory.
So what does this all mean for you, the individual investor? Perhaps the real question isn't just if it's a good time to buy, but what kind of investor are you? And what level of risk are you truly comfortable with when balancing that potential for innovation against the stark financial realities in this incredibly dynamic but unproven microcap space? It's a fascinating story, definitely one to watch perhaps, but one that demands a very clear-eyed assessment of risk versus reward. Thank you for joining us on Investing Talk Podcast. We truly appreciate you tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation, please remember to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. It really helps us out. And if there's a company you'd like us to research and dissect for you, let us know in the comments below. We do read them. We'll be back soon with more insights to help you navigate the markets.